According to Buddhist field, we usually divide subjects, let's say a form, and then formless, and then sometimes you have third categories as well. And then if you look at the brain and the mind, the brain belongs to, with forms, whereas the mind belongs to the formless. And so we divide, usually say, a form, a consciousness, and then the other subjects. So basically, the mind belongs to the category we refer to as a consciousness, whereas the brain really belongs to that form sector. And the form and then the formless or the consciousness in the mindset is such a difference. The elements and the constitutes in each of these fields is so different. So we sometimes say there are vast differences between the brain and the mind, because number one, first one is with form and the other is without form. When we look at the differences between the brain and the mind, there are certain examples I can give you to really present the case from a Buddhist point of view that the mind is different from the brain. One obvious example that I can share here is when the Tibetan advanced practitioners, the yogis or the lamas, when they pass away, they stay in meditative equipoise, we call tukdan, for a number of days. And when they do that, there is no kind of activity in the brain, but still the very subtle, the mind and its energy is kind of kept at the heart. And if you look at the kind of from the physical point of view, there's a temperature, and the person still kind of holds to his post, but no brain activity. Then if you say, has the person totally died, it's difficult to really say that, because there's still some kind of the mind, the very subtle mind, is still remained at the heart. So that's one example. Another example is when we really cremated the body, and then the consciousness really leaves the body and go to take the next life or the next body. And so according to Buddhist belief, we believe the continuation of the mind. And because of that, you take birth. And so when you take birth, you have to leave this body and go to another body. And if you say your mind is the brain, and then when we cremate the body, the brain is almost dissolved. But you still have that function of the mind, the continuation of the mind. And we call this the very subtle energy of the mind still active. And this is the second example we give you. And this is how we really look at the relationship between the mind and between the body. And when they talk about this in the consciousness being manifested into this formless birth, we are not talking about the brain, but we are talking about this very subtle, the energy of the mind. Sometimes they use the word clear light, the natural clear light aspect of the mind being very active and being manifested without having a physical form.